Hello and welcome to the CNBC Africa special. My name is Charles Gitonga. Elections are known to disrupt business in Kenya, and the next polling date is August 8th. Brand Kenya is among the institutions mandated to improve business confidence among investors and recently brought together business leaders to discuss why the future is Kenya. Kenya continues to support robust economic growth in East Africa with an average GDP expansion rate of 5.46% between 2004 and 2016, according to the country's National Bureau of Statistics. In its place as the economic leader in the region, Kenya has caught the eye of local and international investors, therefore recording the fastest growth in foreign direct investments in Africa and the Middle East in 2015, according to FDI intelligence.
We are very pleased that what China was able to provide, abundant supply of labor that is competitively priced in terms of the business environments improving, is now Africa that is going to be where it is. And so the question is, within Africa, what is it that we want to do and what should be our space? And that is why I think Kenya is such at a critical point within Africa to see how we can take advantage of this new inflow of investments, new inflow of the future redefinition.
Kenyans are go-getters. We are not just consumers. We are creators. We are producers. We are manufacturers.
The Future is Kenya Forum by Brand Kenya presented the ideal opportunity for captains of industry to celebrate the success stories as well as make a call to action to potential investors.
As Coca-Cola, we are honored to be part of this project, Why the Future is Kenya. The goal of this project is to tell an exciting story of why Kenya symbolizes the future of trade and investment in Africa through the eyes of key investors, both local and international, in partnership with key government partners. This is an exciting time for Kenya. Never before has this country been so uniquely positioned to become the leading hub for trade and commerce in Africa.
I invest in this country. I encourage investors to come here because one of the biggest assets we have is the people. There are many countries you can go there to invest, and you'll be the only one who is enthusiastic to work hard. But in Kenya, the young Kenyans are aggressive. They are great people. And this is the number one asset we have in this country called Kenya. The second one is government support. Government supports and listens to us, our issues. And I can assure you, and I thank you, Eden, that last year we were one of the 10 most improved country in doing business.
We have all the ingredients. We have the location, we have the people, we have the attitude, and we're growing. You know, when you look globally, there's sometimes challenges in economic growth. We are growing, and with a young population with dreams that they need to fulfill, we have an infrastructure that exists. And what I would say to anybody thinking about doing business in Kenya, our financial industry is stable. We offer banking services that are equivalent to anywhere in the world. So whether you're a corporate bank coming in here, you can arrange derivative products, swaps, you can get financing that ranges from short-term to long-term. You've got hedging instruments. And on the retail side, we've got payroll processing. You name it. The financial services are there to support you to be able to invest and grow your businesses. That's why we're seeing the likes of Carrefour and the other brands that we're seeing in some of the malls coming in, because they see this opportunity. So what I would say is consider Kenya, come in, you know you're going to be protected. We have a business-friendly environment. And I think that positions you to grow not just in Kenya, but in the region.
The vibrancy of the Kenyan economy has seen Nairobi rise to become the gateway to the region. In fact, global business research firm Infominio has listed the capital among the cities preferred by Fortune 500 companies in Africa and Middle East, alongside Dubai and Johannesburg.
Kenya is an international place. Nairobi is an international city. It's become a hub. And everybody's looking to come to Nairobi from where they're going to take their business East Africa wide. So I think you will see a lot more hotels coming up. Nairobi is getting, I think, 10 or 12 new hotels in the near future. But hopefully this will transform across the country and across the region.
The entrepreneurial spirit of Kenyans. Kenya punches above its weight. When you think of a country like Israel, 8 million people, and the influence that it has, people do not dwell on the population size. And I equate the same with Kenya. When you look at the adoption rates of where we are as a society, whether it comes to technology or different things around agri-tech, infrastructure, etc., we are definitely punching above our weight. The entrepreneurial spirit. Yesterday, I hosted a room full of about 250 SMBs here in Westlands who are learning about how to get their businesses online and how to ensure that they open up their market to more people just beyond their geographic constraints. And those are some of the things that we look at and we say that using technology, using the internet, and the fact that the internet is a net contributor to economic growth, you can be able to really diversify your investments. And we've now gone, I think everyone is now aware of the fact that Kenya is not just a tourist destination because of the amazing parks that we have, but because of many other things, including medical, as a place whereby people are coming to get treated. You can get best healthcare here. You can get the best restaurants. So when you look at it holistically, Kenya has changed, and I'm really excited about what the future holds for Kenya.
You have all the ingredients in Kenya that will enable the continent, to succeed its transformation and bridge the gap of development. When it comes to manufacturing, when it comes to technology, when it comes to infrastructure, Kenya is the place to be. When it comes to technology, Kenya is definitely the place to be. And this is why Oracle, we continuously investing for the past 30 years heavily in Kenya, and probably soon Kenya is going to become our hub of the whole of Africa.
However, it's not just foreign companies who are making Nairobi their African hub. Local investors are also putting their money where their mouths are. One of the examples highlighted in this forum include Two Rivers Mall, the largest shopping center in sub-Saharan Africa outside of South Africa, whose main investors include billionaire Chris Kirubi.
We have a company with quite a number of investors in it. I just happen to be the highest geared investor. Two, I have been chairman of the company for many years, been in the board. I'm in charge of investments, by the way. I'm the chairman of investments. We believe in East Africa, not just Kenya. By establishing the mall where we did, that place, many people passed it. They never realized that land existed. By the way, they used to graze animals there, cows, and there was napier grass. So when we bought this place, people said, what are you going to do outside the city, out there? Why are you paying so much money to buy the land? We told them, wait a minute. That development has increased since we developed. We spent about 16 billion shillings to develop it. But today, it has increased by about 40%. So those who invested with us, their value has gone up 40%.
As part of the global village, however, Kenya is not immune to global challenges.
First of all, let me start by saying how the world is becoming much more challenging and problematic place than we found even as recent as about a year and a half ago. With the coming on board of the new administration in the US, I think the world just got turned on its head in terms of what the global relationships are, in terms of trade, in terms of investments, in terms of policies, the number of trade agreements that were about to be implemented that were terminated, that has actually some global repercussions, are something that you know about. The Trans-Pacific Agreement, the Transatlantic with the EU, all those things were just taken aback. And whilst the world has been pushing so hard towards increasing globalization that have helped us so much to thrive, to grow our economies in different parts of the world, I think we are now beginning to shift much more towards where we left the era of protectionism and so on and so forth. So I think that cloud is still hanging over the heads of many economies, many countries, and whatever we do, we've got to plan our destiny within that context. We have, of course, other developments that are happening in EU, the Brexits of this world, the near misses of and Frexit, and many other things that are going. I think that is beginning to get the culture of us versus them, as opposed to really we, the world, that can actually do things together.
Faced with such circumstances, however, there are several ways that both the government and private sector hope to keep Kenya in the limelight. Among these, economic empowerment of women and youth is critical through providing the right environment for their small businesses to thrive.
In Coca-Cola specifically, we have a global commitment to empowering women. We call it 5 by 20. We want to create job opportunities for 5 million women by 2020. Africa is at the forefront of that. I think we've managed to create more than 600 or 700,000 jobs. 300 of those, or almost 300 of those, are in Kenya. So it's a topic dear to our hearts, and from an emotional point of view as well. The woman is my mother, is my sister. She's the nucleus of the family. Once she has an income, you know that this family is safe. Children will be well fed and taken care of. They will go to school and they'll have a better futures. And I think therefore it's a good business, and it's good for the society as well.
There's a company which is not so small anymore, but was small a few years back, called Caliph Records. Right. Caliph Records is one of our YouTube partners here in Kenya, and they aggregate for thousands of artists and really put that content online, whereby every single month the people, the content owners, are making money from YouTube and the advertising that comes along that. And that is just one simple example of how the internet economy is a net contributor to economic growth. And we're going to see that whether it's in publishing, in actual visual content as YouTube provides, and many other things that actually span not just directly on the Google platforms that we create, but also platforms that take advantage of other things. An example of that is on maps. You have companies such as Sendy, which started here locally, that really rides on the Google platform of maps to really build a business, and a thriving business for that matter.
We have made it possible for the SMEs to benefit much more than they have ever been. And that is through direct affirmative approach in providing them with market access. So for example, the government has reserved 30% of its procurement for the SMEs in this country. And that is changing the lives of many people who would ordinarily not have access for their products, for their goods, for the provision of services that have been the preserve of big boys and girls in the past.
Let's put a pause there, but there's much more to discuss after the break. Do not go too far. Welcome back. The optimism by business leaders in Kenya is backed by economic reforms driven by the government, and now Kenya is ranked position 92 in the ease of doing business ranking by the World Bank.
The benchmark on which we try and measure ourselves is the World Bank's ease of doing business report that tries to benchmark all countries in the world against each other, and we have made significant progress in that area. And for 2 years in a row, we've been ranked as the third most improved economy in the world in reforming this economy. And I think that journey continues, and we're very confident that we will be, in the next couple of years, be in the top 50 in the world. Okay, there are issues with that because sometimes to compare ourselves with the UK, for example, in issues of electricity connection, probably is absurd. But hey, that is the benchmark everybody has to follow, and we still have to, despite some of the defects of that ranking system, it's the best that we have in the world, and therefore we should work within that.
Over the past 5 years, the government of Kenya has increasingly engaged with the private sector to find out the challenges facing the business community.
And so our point of focus is the private sector. We have had the record for a very long time as the most liberal marketplace for private sector to thrive. We didn't want to lose that opportunity. We wanted to see how we can grow more. So what did we do? Number one, we made sure that the presidential roundtable with the private sector is brought back and made more aggressive to make sure that we can have engagement with the president and his cabinet every 6 months. We've had a meeting with the president, the State House with cabinet, where private sector leaders like this are talking directly with the head of state and talking about XYZ. Have we resolved a number of things? Absolutely. Are there things that still needs to be resolved? Sure. And you will understand that better than anyone else. So many things have been resolved. If nothing else, the head of state of this country, the CEO of Kenya, knows where it's hurting the private sector. And where things can be done, it would be done. Between the 6 months, each sector meets with the relevant government ministry at the minister level to discuss issues that are relevant to that ministry. So the manufacturers do meet with me every month. The energy professionals do the same. The tourist operators meet on Rabo Balala, and so on and so forth. And I think it is something that is working. We want to make sure that there is no blockage, there is no bureaucracy in making sure that you can get heard. And whilst we can promise to fix everything at one go, at least everything that is affecting our industry, our businesses, is somewhere on the radar and is being ticked off on a regular basis.
When it comes to IT, I have never seen anywhere else in Africa such an accessible government. Always ready to listen about the concern that the private sector is having, and always available to address it in a speed that you will never see anywhere else. That's the first point. The policies, the environment.
In the recent past, Kenya has adopted laws that make it easy for businesses to operate, such as the Companies Act and the Insolvency Act of 2016.
A lot of legal changes needed to be done, because most of the things that makes government people work is they follow the law as much as possible. That section says that, and we cannot do anything like that. People were struggling to set up companies because the Companies Act required you must have 2 directors and 2 shareholders. And people were really at pains whether to put their wives or husbands as, the second director or second shareholder. You will all be pleased that now that requirement has been removed. So if you are a husband or a wife or somebody, you can have a 1 director, 1 shareholder company, courtesy of the new Companies Act, which is a replacement of the 1948 Company Act that we have. We've got the insolvency laws that are now there. We have got the Special Economic Zone Act that is now in place to try and see how we can improve business that are geared towards supporting export in this country.
Besides legislation, Kenya has been on the forefront of investing in infrastructure geared towards reducing the cost of doing business.
A lot of things have been in the pipeline. Of course, issues around infrastructure development, which is the biggest bottleneck for a very long time. We've suffered as a country from many years of underinvestment in things that I think only government can do, that have really caused us a lot of things. So transporting cargo between here and Mombasa. You've had all sorts of examples, people quoting about how easy it is to transfer goods from China to Mombasa than it is to do it internally. Now we have the railway.
As Kenya looks to achieve a stable GDP growth of 5 to 6% every year, investors reckon that economic performance is not just a game of numbers, but also the encouraging warmth of the Kenyan people.
We need to look at the youth as the biggest advantage this country has. Our population is mainly younger people who are ready to work. We are not challenged how to feed and to look after the older generations. You go to Sweden, go to Germany, go to all these countries and find they have to build homes, they have to find nurses, they have just to keep these people alive. But young people want to work. And it's for us to create jobs, and that's what Coke is doing, and many other companies. I know Barclays is doing the same thing. Google is doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing. She's doing the same training. In fact, she's training some of my people. We have biggest opportunity here. This is an industrial technology revolution.
I think Kenyans are hungry. They want to make this the hub of Africa.
Yes.
And if you look at any industry, whether it's technology, whether it's our industry, okay, hospitality, Kenyans work really hard. And if you look outside of Kenya, you know, we have millions of Kenyans sitting outside. And imagine the potential of those Kenyans coming back and investing back in their own country. And we employ people from Dubai, from the UK, from the US. I think this just shows that this is a God-blessed country, and this is where you should be investing.
What stands out for me is how welcoming Kenya is. And as a definition of a hub, being welcoming, being a place where people feel at home, feel they want to be here, feel it's a good place to do business, but also to raise a family.
Our heritage will by no means be the thing that will define our destiny. As a country, we have crawled along, you know, we have been able to achieve so many things in 50 years. A lot has been done in the last 4 years that has not been done in the last 50 years. And undoubtedly, given the technological revolution and many other opportunities that are there, we should not use the past as a determinant of what Kenya is able to do and can do.
And that brings us to the end of this broadcast. I hope the conversations happening here have given you a reason to believe why the future is Kenya. My name is Charles Gitonga, and thank you for joining us.